Hey guys, and welcome back to another command block tutorial. Today's video, we're going to be giving ourselves Iron Man suits. That's right, as you guys saw in the intro, we're actually going to be able to call in the suit, have it fly to us, and then upon equipping it, it's going to give us a variety of powers. So the three powers that I demonstrate, actually the four powers that I demonstrate, is number one going to be the flights, and this flight is also equipped with a dash, meaning that if you double sneak, you actually dash forward. On top of all of that, you have three abilities that you're actually going to be able to use at range. So the first of these that you saw is actually the micro missile. Essentially, just hold the gunpowder and you're going to start shooting out these really rapid missiles that are going to actually explode. I will also mention that if you have mob griefing on in your world, this will be able to decimate blocks. But as you can see, they quickly track on to whatever entity is kind of nearby, kind of what you're looking at, and just absolutely murder it. The second one we have is that when holding a nether star, we're actually going to shoot the base repulsor blasts. And these are just pretty simple projectiles that go wherever you're looking and just do a solid amount of damage. You can do a ton of damage with these things. Finally, the strongest ability in your arsenal is going to be the chest beam. So simply hold a beacon, and wherever you look, you're going to shoot this massive beam. It's going to light everything on fire and just do tons of damage, and it's really fun. So yeah, that's it for the Iron Man suit, and I will mention that if you actually take off any of these pieces of the armor, none of the abilities work. So it is actually tied to this suit giving you these powers, which I think is quite cool. So let's get into how you make your own Iron Man suit. Now I'm actually going to move these out of here so I'm not accidentally clicking them during the initial part. But there is a couple of things you guys are going to need to do first. So the first thing that you guys are going to want to do is I ended up not using this structure block, but I did use these four. What you want to do is actually, let me disable these real quick. Just disable those flights real quick. Before you do the commands, what you want to do is you want to set up these structure blocks, and you want to make these four armor stands. So I have the structure head, structure chest, structure legs, and the structure feet. Now, what you're going to do is give all of these armor stands the tag I armor. So I armor, and I'll show you that in the commands later. But simply give all of these armor stands the tag I armor and give them invisibility. Then you put your actual armor on it. Now you don't have to use the exact designs that I did. You can make your own armor and customize this to look like any armor type that you want. But yeah, just save these in the structure blocks. That's going to be really important, because this is how the armor is actually going to get to you as the player. So once you have these structure blocks saved, you can go ahead and kill these armor stands here. And yeah, that's going to be really important because we're actually going to summon them in. So in order to actually do this kind of summoning in, all we have to do is take any item, name it call suit, at which case it's going to structure load the head structure somewhere nearby, so you can use these coordinates. Then it's going to use the chest at a different set of coordinates. Same thing with the legs, loading them in a different coordinate. And finally with the feet, loading them in a different coordinate. Then once all that's done, it's going to kill the item named call suit. So all that does is whenever I throw down the call suit item, it's going to spawn a piece of armor in each direction that I'm looking. And that's what we have so far. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is add anything with the tag iron armor, which you need to give to the armor stands before you save them in the structure block. We're just going to have it be constantly teleporting towards the nearest player. It's also going to be playing a little particle effect as it's moving. Additionally, it is going to be playing this little sound, so it sounds like a booster. And finally, upon reaching 0.7 blocks of the player, that means it's basically reached the player, it's going to kill the armor stand. This is going to make it drop the armor and fall into your inventory for you to equip. Unfortunately, there's not really a good way to equip it with commands, otherwise I would have done that, so you will have to manually equip it, but I think this is pretty good as far as getting the armor actually to you. Next up, upon reaching the player, once they have all of the armor pieces on them, they're going to get the tag Iron M, at which point if they don't have gunpowder, the player is going to get gunpowder. If the player does not have a nether star, they're going to get a nether star. And if the player does not already have a beacon, they're going to get a beacon. So that's going to be kind of the whole suiting up thing, although there's a little bit more that I got to show you here. So we're going to remove the tag Iron M from everybody. Then we're going to put in this command. This is checking if the player is wearing leather boots, leather chest plate, golden pants, and a leather helmet. So all leather except for the pants. Pants are gold, everything else is leather. If the player is wearing all that, then they're going to have the tag Iron M. And that is the armor set that I used here. I will just show you each of the armor trims so that way you guys can copy this exact set if you want to. But yeah, that's all we're doing to actually check if the player is wearing the correct suit. If the player has the tag Iron M, they're going to get strength, and they're also going to get resistance. You can of course add your own extra effects if you want to. The rest of these commands are also going to be entirely dependent on whether or not the player has the correct tag. So the first one that we're going to actually demonstrate here is the giant laser. Because it's pretty simple, at first all we're doing is just a bunch of particles. And the other thing that we're going to be doing is some ray tracing. So I'm actually going to demonstrate the particles first, the particles second, even though it's slightly out of order, and go from there. So what we're doing is we're going to do the XP ray tracing that I've done in several other videos. Simply add the tag Iron XP to the player, to all XP orbs. That's going to make it so every existing XP orb is not affected by what's about to happen. Then we're going to go to the Iron Man that's holding the beacon in their hands and summon an XP orb slightly in front of where that player is looking. Then we're going to use this command, which is going to teleport it many blocks, but it won't penetrate through any blocks, or it won't penetrate through multiple entities. So it's going to go several blocks forward until it reaches an entity. We're going to repeat this command just to let it travel a bit further without being too laggy. Then wherever it reaches is going to be playing this knockback roar particle. Wherever it reaches is going to be damaging any entities within 3 block radius for 30 entity attack damage. It's also going to spread fire wherever it hits. Then it's going to kill off the XP orb. So just a quick explanation of what went on. We're basically summoning an XP orb, having it travel to wherever I'm looking. Upon reaching, it's going to play some particle, do some damage, and spread some fire. Top of that, for whenever the player is holding the beacon, we are going to be playing this sound just to sound like the actual laser chest beam going on. On top of that, we do actually have just a series of particles that's going to be mimicking the chest beam visuals. So all these are exactly the same except for this coordinate at the end is slightly different. So all we're checking is at the player, go a little bit forward and play the sonic beam particle. Second one, we're just doing the same thing, it's just the coordinates a bit higher. Coordinates a bit higher. Actually, this one should be 2. Coordinates a bit higher. Oops. Coordinate is a little bit higher. So I'm not going to go through and explain all of these. I will show every command. If you really need to, you can just pause it. But all of these particle commands are exactly the same except for the coordinates being different. Now, some of you guys might be wondering why would you not use FMBEs for this? And because the FMBE rotation system that I would use for this isn't actually multiplayer friendly, whereas this whole system is multiplayer friendly. Also, make sure Fantasy knows that I left this in the video. So yeah, that's all we have for the actual chest beam, which in my opinion is actually probably my favorite of these abilities because it's really fun. It just looks like you absolutely obliterate everything that you look at, which is quite fun. So next up, we're going to look at the actual fight mechanics, and I know I went slightly out of order. It's just the way that I did the commands. So what we're going to be doing is simply checking at the player if they have the tag, and they are sneaking, which is what this is doing right here. Give the player slow falling. That way, as soon as you stop sneaking, you still like hover in the air for a few seconds. You don't just instantly drop out of the sky. Additionally, we're going to give them levitation while they're sneaking. However, if the player is no longer sneaking, we're going to cancel their levitation. Additionally, we're going to be playing this particle. This is just below the player, slightly to the one side of them. We have the exact same particle on the other side, and this makes it look like there's boosters kind of below my feet. Pretty simple. Nothing too much going on there. Also like the village burning in the background. Wasn't related to me at all. Also, did I did. I dashed through my own commands. So yeah, those are the particle commands. And then we're just going to be playing the gas fireball sound just to sound like a little booster noise. Now, we do actually need some scoreboards. So at this point, what you're going to need to do is type in scoreboard objectives, add iron dummy. That's all we're going to need to do. So what we're doing, and I will actually display this on the side of the screen for you guys. Boop. What we're going to be doing is every time I hold dash, my score is set to 9. As soon as I stop holding sneak, my score is going to count down. Now, if I am inputting sneak while my scoreboard is not at 0, then it's going to initiate the dash. So I'm going to hold it, and if I sneak again between 1 and 8, it's going to dash forward. So that's what's happening for you guys who are curious. Now, how that actually works is anytime the Iron Man has a score of iron 1 to 8, so that means it's counting down still, but the player is also sneaking, we're to give them the tag I dash. Then we're going to be looking at the player who's sneaking, set their score of iron to 9, and of course it's going to be removing it. So if the player is not sneaking, we're going to remove the iron score of 1. So once the player has the score of I dash, the rest of it's pretty simple. All we're going to do is run this particle at the player, then teleport the player 1 block forward true. That means that they won't dash through blocks. Then we literally repeat these commands several times just so that the player can dash forward quite quickly and it still look good and not burst into walls. Because, you know, usually you don't want to get stuck in a wall whenever you dash. So this looks like a really menacing tower, but it's literally the same commands repeated like over and over and over again. On top of that, when the player actually reaches the end of their dash, we're going to play this little riptide sound. And we're also going to remove the tag I dash from the player. So that's how the whole flight system works, both the general as well as the actual dash ability. So pretty fun, and that's how the Iron Man flight system works. Next up, we're going to get into the actual repulsor beams. So this is just kind of a basic projectile weapon. You know, shoots out from the player, does damage upon hit, nothing too fancy here. So all that we're doing is starting over here. We're executing at the player that is holding the Nether Star, and we are summoning a boat 220 blocks in the air. Then we're going to give the tag Repulse to the boat. Then we're just going to play this sound. Pretty simple. I will also mention that this is on a 10 tick delay. You can change this tick delay to be whatever you want. On top of this, we're going to be giving the iron score of Repulse 1, and then killing the repulse when the score equals 20. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, it's going to count up to 20, and then it's going to kill itself. This is just give it a limited duration, so it's not stretching on to infinity and lagging up your world. So on top of, just show that. So on top of this, we're doing pretty simple stuff where we are just doing the teleport commands. So teleporting the repulse forward, then doing the actual particle for the repulse, then doing the actual damage for the repulse, and then we literally just repeat these commands over and over again. This just allows it to teleport really quickly without like skipping over entities. So it works as a fast firing projectile that's not going to actually like skip over entities and not do damage, not play the particle stuff. Just makes it pretty consistent. So once again, these two big towers that look really scary are not actually that menacing because it is literally the same commands. In this case, 2 commands repeated. In this case, 3 commands repeated like over and over and over again. So that's all it is for the repulsor. So let's get into the last ability, which is the micro missile. So what I have here is, I think this is this is a repeat command, so I don't need that. So what we're doing is we're going to execute at the player that is holding gunpowder. We're going to summon an armor stand above the player called I Miss. So that's short for like Iron Man Missile. We're doing this on a 30 tick delay. Additionally, we're going to instantly give invisibility to the Iron Missile. and we're just going to play this little sound every time it launches off. So that's going to be the basic summoning above the player. Pretty simple. Then we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be adding the iron score of 1 to the actual missile. Then finally, when the iron score equals 30, instead of killing it, we're actually going to just summon an ender crystal that is going to explode immediately. So basically, it's going to shoot out, and as soon as its lifespan is over, it is going to instantly summon that ender crystal. It's going to blow that ender crystal up, and yeah, that's pretty much how it works. So let's get into the actual targeting system. All that we're doing is pretty simple. We're going to remove the tag iTarget from anything that has it. Then we're going to look at the Iron Man, go 12 blocks out from where the Iron Man player is looking, and give the nearest entity to where the player is looking the tag iTarget. So this is just going to make it so that the Iron Man projectile missile is actually preferring the direction that you're looking in terms of its targeting. Then we're just going to pretty simply teleport the missile in that direction. So pretty simple with the TP commands, and we're just going to be running this shulker bullet particle. Then we just repeat these commands 3 times over. And bada boom, bada bing, you have your missile. And just to show you what it can look like, if I take mob griefing off, I'll be honest, I forget what game rule it is, but I'm totally blanking, but I'm sure it's like super obvious. So yeah, it will actually destroy blocks though if you want it to, so keep that in mind, whether you do or don't want it to. But yeah, that is about it for the Iron Man tutorial. So like I said, we have a whole suite of abilities. Number 1, you actually get to call in the Iron Man suit, which I think is pretty cool that it actually flies in from the horizon. And you do have to equip it yourself. It doesn't fully equip it for you, but it does jump right into your inventory. Then it gives you all the gadgets you're going to need. So I think that's pretty cool. You can actually call in the Iron Man suit. Then when you're in the Iron Man suit, you're going to be able to fly around. You're going to have strength and resistance. You're going to be able to dash around. You're going to be able to summon in these tracking homing missiles. You're going to be able to shoot out your repulsor blasts at entities. And of course, you're going to be able to unleash your massive chest beam, which is still my favorite because, I mean, just look at this. Oh, it looks like we left a guy over here. Let's kill him. So yeah, it is a pretty fun creation. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys watched all the way to the end, comment Iron Man. If you guys need any help, you feel free to leave a comment, but I also do recommend that you join my Discord because, quite frankly, there's a lot of people that can help you on there, and it's easier to help you on Discord than it is in the YouTube comments section. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye. Oh, also, you can subscribe if you want, I guess.